I hired a housekeeper. What she did to my paralyzed son left me on my knees. Hey there, dear friends. Before we embark on today's wonderful journey together, I just want to take a moment to express how much your support truly means to me. If you haven't yet, I'd be so grateful if you could hit that subscribe button. It helps our little community grow and gives me the chance to share even more heartwarming stories with you. And here's something really special. I love connecting with all of you, which is why I personally reply to every comment you leave on my videos. So, please drop a note in the comments and tell me where you're tuning in from. It lights up my day to hear from each of you. All right, without further ado, let's dive into this extraordinary tale. I can't wait to share it with you. The billionaire's son never walked, but the new maid had a miracle hidden in her hands. The sound struck Nathan Wellington the moment he shouldered open the mahogany doors of the penthouse. A bright bell of laughter, alive and reckless, ricocheting off marble and glass. He stood dripping, rain darkening the cuffs of his charcoal suit, the leather handle of his briefcase slick in his grip. Laughter had been a stranger here for 3 years. Not since Sarah's absence became a permanent season, and certainly never from his son. He moved through the dim hall like a man trespassing in the ruins of his own life, following the giggles until he reached the living room with its high, unblinking windows and pale, expensive quiet. The sight jarred him into breath. Oliver, sandy-haired, ocean-glass eyes, 4 years of stillness folded into the smallness of his body, was aloft, balanced on someone's upraised feet, shrieking the kind of delight that melts bone. His legs, those quiet limbs that lay slack and heavy as secrets, stretched long and true. Beneath him, Isabella, the new housekeeper, hired in a flurry of necessity 2 weeks ago, lay on her back, legs lifted, holding him like he was a paper airplane, and the room a bright blue sky. Her eyes were kind, her hands work-worn. No degrees, no letters trailing her name. Only a way of seeing that slipped past the obvious, a patience that listened past words. She lowered Oliver slowly, a tide retreating, and rolled him gently off her legs. She didn't hold him up, she didn't correct, she simply made space. Oliver stood, wobble, gather, root, until he found steadiness, grinning as if he'd set the first fire. This same child who had never taken a step, this same boy whom specialists described in cool phrases, psychological barriers, emotional trauma, who could walk, they said, but would not. The same son Nathan had been quietly, shamefully losing in the back rooms of his heart. Isabella looked up and found him in the doorway, her smile held as though she had been expecting the moment to arrive exactly like this. "Hello, Mr. Wellington," she said with the casual warmth of an old friend. "What? How is this possible?" The words cracked out of him, thin ice and thaw. Oliver turned toward the sound of his father's voice and, without ceremony, without fear, took 3 determined steps in a small, brave line straight toward him. The briefcase slammed to the marble as Nathan dropped to his knees and caught his son, the boy's laughter spilling warm into the cold air. His arms trembled around the slight, electric body he had not held like this in months. Something inside him lifted and flooded and broke. He looked at Isabella through blurring eyes and remembered, with a shock, how it felt to cry. "I don't understand any of this." "Understanding isn't always necessary," she said gently, rising and brushing dust from her simple blue dress. "Sometimes we just need to trust what we see." He stood, and Oliver went with him, molding into his chest as if he had been carved to fit there. The language of doctors and therapy schedules rattled in Nathan's skull. Appointments, invoices, a white glare of sterile rooms. He had been writing checks against his son's silence and calling it love. Oliver didn't need fixing, Isabella said. He needed permission to be himself. "How?" The plea scraped his throat. "How did you reach him when no one else could?" "I didn't try to change him." She tilted her head, as if listening to a far-off song. "I listened to what he was already telling me without words. Children speak in movements, in silence, in the way they breathe. Oliver taught me his language." An ache rose sharp as grief. He saw himself walking past Oliver's door each night, letting the hush keep him moving. He tasted the bitterness of it. "I was trying to buy his healing," he said. "I thought money could solve everything. But what he needed couldn't be purchased." Nathan sank into the cream-colored sofa. Oliver tucked himself close, a puzzle piece snapping into place. Why? He asked, barely audible. Why did you care enough to try? I lost a child once, she said simply. The words landed like a fist to the ribs, small and devastating. He wasn't my biological son, she continued, voice turning distant as if she were watching another life through glass. I was a living caregiver for a little boy named Diego. He had Oliver's same bright eyes, the same careful way of watching the world, the same fear of being rushed. His parents grew impatient with his progress. They dismissed me when I asked them to slow down to listen to what Diego was trying to tell them. Rain freckled the windows, silver threads drawing downward. He passed away 8 months later in a hospital room. I wasn't there when it happened. I've carried that regret every day since. She looked back at Nathan. When I saw Oliver, she whispered, I saw Diego. I saw a second chance to do what I couldn't do before. I don't deserve this miracle, Nathan said, his voice breaking completely. I don't deserve these steps, this moment, this gift. Perhaps you don't, but Oliver does. Silence softened the room again, punctuated only by rain and the small sleeping breaths at Nathan's collarbone. Somewhere inside him, a door long jammed by grief and pride gave way. Not Oliver, who had been locked in place, he knew now. Himself. I haven't been a parent, he confessed, hardly more than breath. I've just been a man who happened to live in the same house as his child. It's not too late to change that, Isabella said. Oliver stirred, blinked in drowsy trust, and burrowed closer. No flinch, no doubt. Nathan looked at Isabella as if seeing the shape of her for the first time beyond the title on her employment papers. You're not just a housekeeper, are you? She offered a small, wry smile. I'm not trying to be anything other than what Oliver needs. You've accomplished what teams of professionals couldn't. I didn't heal him, Isabella said firmly. I just helped him remember who he already was. Nathan pressed his lips to the warm crown of his son's head. Thank you. She rose, smoothing her dress, and her tone turned practical. He'll need consistency now. He's not afraid of walking anymore, but he's still afraid of being abandoned. His chest tightened. I'll work from home more. I'll be present. He'll know if you're being truthful. I am being truthful, he answered, and knew the words were finally clean of performance. Morning arrived as if the city itself had changed its mind. Sunlight poured over the penthouse floors in sheets of honey. The smell of fresh coffee and waffles drifted softly from the kitchen, where Isabella hummed a tune with no name. At 9 o'clock, Nathan sat cross-legged on the Persian rug in a wrinkled dress shirt, watching Oliver construct a cathedral of colored blocks. When the boy overreached and toppled, Nathan jolted forward, but Oliver pushed himself up, brushed his hands, and reached for another block without looking back. You look shocked, Isabella said from the doorway, a dish towel looped over her shoulder. I am shocked, Nathan admitted, like a man coming up for air. I always thought he was broken. He was never broken, she said softly. He was just waiting for someone to stop trying to hurry his healing. I rushed everything. His own voice indicted him. Therapy, bedtime, grief, life, hurried past and over and through. You can't undo the past, but you can choose to show up differently from now on. Nathan picked up a stuffed elephant that had been exiled beneath the sofa and offered it. Oliver accepted it solemnly, then climbed into his father's lap and settled there, easy as breathing. No hesitation, no fear, just complete trust. I almost missed all of this, Nathan whispered, overwhelmed. But you didn't miss it, Isabella said gently. You're here now. That's what matters. After a long, quiet stretch, Nathan lifted his gaze. Will you stay? Not as a housekeeper, but as part of our family. Her face grew serious, measuring the weight of the offer. I never intended this job to be permanent. I know, but you've changed our definition of permanent. He searched for words that didn't sound like negotiation. I'm not asking out of obligation or guilt. I'm asking because you're the first person to truly see Oliver for who he is, and maybe you've seen who I could become too. If I stay, she said quietly, it would be as someone who holds you accountable, not just to Oliver, but to the father and man you want to be. I accept those terms completely. Her smile rose slow and certain, like dawn breaking the last of the night. Then yes, I'll stay. Oliver reached up, touched his father's cheek, and squealed at the wetness he found there. Nathan caught the small hand and kissed it, the taste of salt and hope on his lips. Around them, The morning was a scatter of blocks and light. No contracts, no signatures. A family chosen into existence. And in that fragile, luminous moment, it felt like the purest miracle.